Are leaders born or made? This is a common question when discussing leadership. Up until the 1950s, the dominant leadership theories took the view that leaders were born. In other words, they inherited characteristics that led to their success. This view became known as the great man theory of leadership. These days, the dominant view, albeit not a view held by all leadership theorists, is that personality traits play a role in determining leadership emergence and effectiveness. They are, however, only one of many factors that affect leadership processes. Indeed, some of the leadership theories that have dominated the last 30 years, like transformational leadership, focus more on the behaviours leaders choose to use rather than their personality characteristics. In this presentation, we'll explore the nature of personality traits, which ones are generally helpful or harmful to leadership, and how we can use this knowledge as part of self-leadership. Traits are features of our personality. Well-known examples include extroversion, conscientiousness, and emotional stability. Traits reflect our genetic makeup as well as our childhood experiences. They are thought to stabilise during early adulthood. They are important to leadership as they affect our behaviour. For example, champion-type leaders usually have a propensity for risk-taking, are confident and highly persistent. Consider the case of Nelson Mandela. He was imprisoned for 27 years during the apartheid period in South Africa. During those years, he showed remarkable patience and optimism. He stated that, "There were many dark moments when my faith in humanity was sorely tested, but I would not and could not give myself up to despair." After being released and elected president, he demonstrated forgiveness by not taking revenge on those who imprisoned him. Clearly, his character positively affected his leadership. Whilst there are many personality traits, we can organise them into 5 categories. These are known as the Big 5 personality traits, or the 5-factor model of personality. This framework is valuable as leadership researchers have explored the relationship between these 5 traits and different leadership outcomes. The Big 5 personality traits are extroversion. This trait is strongly developed in people who are sociable, talkative and assertive. Agreeableness. This trait is associated with people who are good-natured, cooperative and seek acceptance by others. Conscientiousness. This trait is strongly developed in people who are disciplined, dependable, persistent and achievement-oriented. Emotional stability. This trait is associated with people who are calm, enthusiastic and secure. Openness to experience. This trait is strongly developed in people who are imaginative, intellectual and open to new ideas. Are any of these 5 traits a strong feature of your personality? If you haven't already, I would recommend doing some online self-assessment exercises to help you clarify which of these traits are strongly developed. So which personality traits are generally helpful to leadership? We need to be careful generalising here, as a leader's context will determine the significance of certain personality traits. Nevertheless, Timothy Judge and colleagues conducted a significant research project in 2002 that found statistically significant relationships between some of the Big 5 personality characteristics and leadership outcomes. Specifically, they found that extroversion and conscientiousness were positively correlated with leader emergence. In other words, these 2 traits helped to predict who would emerge as a leader within a group. They also found that extroversion, openness to experience and emotional stability were positively correlated with leadership effectiveness. Another useful contribution to our understanding has been made by Professor Peter Northouse. After reviewing the literature, he concluded that there was no magic list of personality traits that all effective leaders shared. However, the following 5 traits were frequently highlighted by researchers as being helpful. Intelligence, that is, people's general mental ability. Determination. Sociability, including the traits of being friendly and diplomatic. Integrity. Self-confidence. Do you exhibit some or all of these helpful traits? Some personality traits, if strongly developed, can also impede effective leadership. For example, the so-called dark triad of personality traits are often associated with destructive leadership. These 3 traits are narcissism, which includes arrogance, self-absorption, fragile self-esteem and hostility. Psychopathy, which includes excessive risk-taking, little empathy, deceit, selfishness and impulsiveness, Machiavellianism, which overlaps with psychopathy and includes deception, cunning, and manipulation of others for personal gain. The cult leader, Reverend Jim Jones, is an example of a destructive leader with these traits. He founded a new religious movement and established a secretive commune in Jonestown, Guyana. In 1978, he was primarily responsible for the death of over 900 people in this community, including over 200 children. Some personality traits can be both helpful and harmful to leaders. For example, I commonly work with engineers who are making the transition from a technical specialist to a team leader. Often these people are highly conscientious. This personality trait has served them well as relatively independent technical specialists. When they become team leaders with staff, however, high levels of conscientiousness can be problematic. It can lead to micromanaging, poor delegation, and not enabling their staff. Confidence is another example of a personality trait being a double-edged sword. Generally it is helpful, but overconfidence can lead to hubris. So, how can we use this knowledge to improve self-leadership and become more effective leaders? Let's look at 4 strategies leaders commonly use. The first strategy is to be self-aware. Know your nature. Self-assessment tools that explore your personality can help this process, along with frequently reflecting on your nature and how you react to different situations. Aristotle stressed the importance of self-awareness when he stated, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." Second, identify which of your strongly developed personality traits have the potential to help or hinder your leadership activities. This is helped by getting frequent feedback from colleagues and reflecting after leadership activities. If you are highly introverted, for example, you may find that this trait has the potential to inhibit your networking activities. The third strategy is to identify actions you can take advantage of helpful traits, manage unhelpful ones, or match your nature to your leadership role. For example, if you are highly extroverted, you may be better suited to a boundary-spanning role where you will need to spend a lot of time building and maintaining relationships. If you are highly introverted and have the potential to shy away from networking, you could choose to learn networking techniques that can be done on a one-to-one basis. You could also find a mentor to help you, perhaps another introverted leader who has found ways to excel at networking. The final strategy is usually the most difficult. It involves regulating your behaviour to minimise the impact of unhelpful personality traits. This requires self-awareness and self-discipline. It may involve breaking some deeply ingrained habits. For example, imagine you have very low levels of emotional stability and are prone to losing your temper at work. You recognise it's an unhelpful trait that's damaging important relationships and reducing your effectiveness as a leader. As part of your leadership plan, you might commit to adopting a new set of behaviours, such as 1. Waiting 24 hours before replying to irritating emails and then, when calm, responding in person or by phone. And 2. Going for a short walk to calm down and regroup if you feel like you're about to lose control of your emotions. Please take a moment to reflect on your personality, your nature. To what extent are you aware of your most strongly developed personality traits? Could you have some blind spots? Have you identified which traits are likely to help or hinder your leadership activities? Have you thought about leadership roles that are best suited to your nature? Have you thought about some day-to-day behaviours you could adopt to work around those personality traits that potentially hinder your leadership effectiveness? Self-leadership involves knowing the answers to all these questions and then, importantly, taking action so you can be at your best in a leadership role.